Hey guys, I'm in my laundry closet and I'm going to review today the 11th book in the Vampire Chronicles series, and that is Prince Lestat. Things are going out of control when it comes to the vampires, but that seems to be like a usual thing in this series, that something's always happening in the world of vampires, especially lately. But there's this voice that these older vampires have been hearing that have been controlling them and telling them to do really bad things in the vampire community. It's telling the vampires to just start killing their young ones, killing their fledglings, and just burning them up and doing really bad things that vampires don't want to do. And it even happens to our hero, Lestat. He starts hearing these voices all of a sudden that tells him to do crazy, psychotic things. And luckily, some of these vampires have more control and they can resist this voice. So they're trying to figure out what is this voice that's all of a sudden is happening years later. And like I said, the side has to go be the hero and figure out what's going on. And meanwhile, in the vampire world, the vampire Farid, who is a scientist turned vampire, who's always trying to make the vampires, trying to study what vampires are and kind of improve on what their condition, since he was a scientist before being turned into a vampire. So he's working with Seth, who is the son of Akasha, the Queen of the Damned. Except Seth is a good guy now, so he's not like his mom. They've been working and they have discovered that there's a way for a formula that can make vampires have sex and have children. And so Lestat wants to get a part of this, and he's interested in this. And he thinks about it and decides to go on through. And they give him the formula. And Lestat has sex and has a kid. So now Lestat has a human son, so he has an heir, which is really cool because no longer is Lestat alone, that he's going to have an heir. And his son's name is Victor, who looks exactly like him, but is mortal. So I really like that part of the book. And that's basically the story of Prince Lestat, is they're trying to figure out this voice and what it is, and then dealing with Lestat having his own son. And then and it all leads up to the end, leading to the title of the series, or the title of the book, Prince Lestat, that eventually, I'm not going to tell you with the whys or hows, but by the end, Lestat takes on the role of prince in the vampire world. And some of the vampires don't like that young Lestat and not old Rashomandis and some others that are older than Lestat, they think they should be the leader. So they don't like a young kid being the leader of the vampires. And with that said, that leads into another section of the book where they try to kidnap Lestat's son, Victor. So that ties into the story as well, which is why I went ahead and gave away about Lestat being a vampire prince. So he's back to being royalty again in the vampire community. He ends up being the leader of the vampires. And so Prince Lestat is a return to form. It's way better than Blood Canonical was. And this was given as a love letter to the fans. And they say, Seth says that you don't have to read the rest of the series. You can read, let's see, 1, 2, 3. You can read it up to Interview, The Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned, then skip all the way to this. They even give like a little summary of who's who in the series, so you don't have to read the entire series to get to this point. I guess she was trying to update it to sell more copies, not in a bad way, but to sell more copies, and so people that are just now jumping into the series, they can get a quick update and get into this. With all that said, there's still a lot of information that would really be helpful, that you would know 100% what's going on if you read the entire series up to this point. And that's what I did. So I can't speak for someone that they would read the first 3 and then jump to this, since this is a sequel to Queen of the Damned, but not really a reboot like they're doing in the movies nowadays, where the first movie counts and then the second movie maybe, and then they cut off all the series and start as the new one is number 3. That's not really the way this is. This just gives like a summary update, so you don't have to read the rest of the series. The rest of the series still happen in canon, but if you don't want to read all the other 8 books, however many, after Queen of the Damned, you can skip to this one. But you still may be lost, so it's probably better to read the rest of the series. With all that said, I loved Prince Lestat. Like I said, Return to Form, way better than Blood Canticle. And if they had to end the series, they could have ended it on this. Except I think this one has a cliffhanger too. But that's my review of Prince Lestat. It is a way better book and a good sign of things to come. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later, and I'll see ya.